I'm going to take you through the steps that I do when I prepare to print, and it's my suggestion you check the oil and you check the cleanliness of the press bed every time you go to print. It just makes things run smoother. Most of the time the oil is going to be maintained in this oil can, and you'll also want to use some petroleum jelly, or what some people, the brand is Vaseline. I generally buy just a generic. If they're not on top, they'll be below by the ink. The oil can and Vaseline will be in this general area, so if it's not above the vent hood or down here, just look around, you'll find it. I have placed red nail polish in areas that receive oil. Sometimes the nail polish gets worn off after people clean the press. I try to maintain red dots, but the areas that I'm going to show you on both sides of the press need to receive oil. So I take and just lightly pump this handle, and you can see in the clarity of this hose, I'll put a drop or two. I'm applying oil between this rod. There's a little bushing inside there. And if I want to move the rollers to make sure that it's well oiled, I can. Another spot is on the side of the carriage, down in here. Down here. And if I roll the carriage forward, there's a area right here. On the side of the press, I'll apply oil here, and you can see I don't mind that a little bit of it drips off. You can see I need to put red here. On the side where I print from, I'll put oil here, oil there, oil here. And then when I hit the print and trip, I put some on the outside of that rod, and I'll put some here, and I'll move it a little bit. In this little area, I put a little bit of oil in here. I try to make sure that it doesn't drip onto the press bed or get mixed in with the ink on the rollers. And I'll put some on this side as well, a small amount. I'll spin that to make sure the oil gets moved around. I've placed an arrow as a reminder to take a little bit of oil on a clean rag and rub it underneath here. And you'll see it collects some dirt. I'll roll this forward, and then make sure the entire underside is clean and oiled. I'll rub the underside. I'll bring this forward. And bring it back. These metal rails of the cylinder, they roll along these rails, and so I make sure that there's oil, but I'm more concerned that they actually not have any grime or dirt. I'll move this forward and clean all the way to the back. I want to make sure the entire diameter of this cylinder is clean. So I'll take a little bit of oil. I want to make sure the other side is equally clean. It's very important to make sure that these are clean. It's very important to make sure that these rails are clean. This press has these little flippers or little sliders that try to remove anything that's on that flat rail. I'll take and make sure it's clean, and you can see that there was grime on that. These are on both sides of the press, so they help keep that clean, and I'll just clean them off. Okay. There are only two places that I use the petroleum jelly. You can see in this distribution roller or oscillating gear, I'll put it here and on this side. And I want to make sure that I don't put so much that it falls onto my ink. I'll take a little bit off because I definitely do not want it to fall or drip down into the ink. When I turn the motor on, this is going to roll back and forth much smoother. I've added oil in here, and I've added Vaseline on both sides, and it's going to run very smoothly. We have oiled the press, and now I want to make sure that the press bed is completely clean. I have a couple large paint brushes in the classroom. The ones that are marked not clean doesn't mean they're dirty, but I have used them to clean the press or the press bed, or I've used them to pick up things. But I want to make sure that there are no dust particles or grime or anything on this press bed. You do not want anything to be underneath your type or the form that you're going to print. If you have oil, or if there's ink, or if there's a stain, you can clean it off with either the denatured alcohol or the ink, the press solve, either one. So if I ask that if you're going to use it to clean, grab the one that's marked not clean. You've now oiled the press. You've made sure that these bearings or parts that roll on this rail are clean and oiled. You've applied petroleum jelly on this side. You've put oil in here and in all the other red indicated spaces. I recommend making sure that the press bed is completely clean, and once you wash your hands, you're ready to start printing.